So we went to an aquarium, the Florida Aquarium, not too long ago. And in this big, gigantic fish tank, I saw sharks. And I saw all these other fish. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. Aren't those other fish, like, supposed to be afraid? Isn't that shark a predator?
Yeah.
Isn't this dangerous? And then I thought, I'm glad I don't live in a world like that. I'm glad I don't live in a world where a predator could just eat me up at any minute.
Yeah.
And then we came to work, and then the next day you had a phone call from somebody trying to tell you that you were going to go to jail if you didn't pay the IRS.
Yeah.
And you were panicking. And
I was.
And I said, oh my gosh, I know that's fake because I've seen this on YouTube. So I went to YouTube real quickly. For those who don't know, Robin and I share an office. And on my computer, I turned it up so she could hear the same voice on her phone. Or at least the same kind of spiel, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you are the parent of a child that is getting ready to go to school, that would be to college, I would think, then you probably have had lots of thoughts about how are you going to pay for it. And if you have a predator contacting you, and in that case, they won't be threatening you, they'll be sweet-talking you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know who's the good guys and who's the bad guys when it comes to getting student loans. So Angela Sloan is on the phone. She's the CEO and founder of the Sloan Financial Group, and she has knowledge, information that'll help us be able to differentiate between the true people with money to loan for education and those who simply want to take advantage of the fact that we're all kind of like a fish in a big tank with a shark swimming around. Angela Sloan. Good morning, Angela.
Hi, how are you? It's good to be here.
Where are you? Where are you calling from?
Actually, I am in Sarasota, Florida, where I have a second home, and we're in the process of renovating down here. So we're kind of up to our knees in dust, but it was a nice break to be able to take and visit with you guys.
I love that area. Where's your first home?
It's in Clover, South Carolina. Great big town with the red light.
That's where the sound. That's where the accent comes from. I thought that was. Yeah, I know what accent, right? Yeah, we always don't realize we have an accent. So yeah, we're all kind of vulnerable, aren't we? I mean, especially if you're like me and Robin. We always trust everybody, and I think we're perfect targets.
And you're right. And I'm going to kind of digress just a minute. I remember coming home to my dad and telling my dad all about student loans that I had learned from my guidance counselor at school because we had no money for me to go to college. And he made me so mad that day. He heard me out, and then he looked at me and he said, "That is the craziest thing I've ever heard of in my life. Somebody's telling you to go borrow a bunch of money so you can go to school and you don't have a job to pay it back. That's just stupid." He said, "I'm going to tell you how you do this. You get out, you get a job. And if you can't find a job, you make a job. If you can make a job, you can make a job for a few other people while you're at it. And then you'll have the money to go to school." And I'm here to tell you, he was so right. Little did I know then that, fast forward to my point in life now, that I'd be counseling people on this subject, trying to get out of debt. And the first quarter of 2018, the student debt hit $1.5 trillion. And almost half of the students who are coming through college have taken out a loan. 4 in 10 have taken out a loan. And the other sad part is that women hold nearly 2/3 of that student debt. And part of the reason is because, more women are going to college. They represented more than half, I think, 55 to 60% of the students enrolled, and that was back in 2016. I think that number's actually gone up. But that doesn't explain all of it. More women are going to college. And yes, the average woman owes almost $2,800 more in debt than the men do upon finishing a degree. But they're also paying that wage more slowly. That debt more slowly. Now, part of it's there's still a wage gap, as sad as that is. That's part of it. But the big part is that we girls take some time off to have our children, get our children at least of school age before we go back to work.
Right.
So that explains a lot of why we're paying it back a little more slowly.
Yeah.
But I have seen families with student debt of up to $250,000. I think 260 is about the highest that I've seen.
Wow.
I have seen predatory lending. I sat down with a couple in their 60s, and they had been paying on this same loan by bank draft, had never been late. And they had been paying on this loan for like 12 years. And they owed like $200 more than when they started.
Oh,
and
my.
it was because of Yeah, and it was because of the type interest that they had. And let me tell you, it was with a very big bank.
That's crazy.
We have seen in the news recently, okay? So you please be sure to read your fine print. Do not deal with anybody that you do not know, and especially somebody who calls you on the phone as a cold call. If you didn't go to them for the loan, you don't have time to listen.
12 years later, they owe $200 more than they borrowed.
Right, and this guy, he's in the ministry, and when I pointed that
Wow.
out to him, he said, I feel like such an idiot. They had borrowed money for his wife to go to nursing school, for him to get some type counseling degree, an extra degree in addition to his divinity, and then they had borrowed some money for their daughter to go to school. So this was a combination of three. They had about 7 or 8 different loans, but this one particular one just stood out to me. And he said, we put all these on automatic bank draft, and I just didn't pay attention. I was so busy working between trying to pastor my church and do the counseling, I just didn't pay attention. He said, I feel like such an idiot. And I'm here to tell you guys, look at your loans. How much progress are you making? And, it makes a difference if it's simple interest or compound interest. And sometimes it makes a difference to maybe take out an equity line. The rates are low right now. Take out an equity line and try to get it knocked out, because in this particular case, some of his loans were 9-10%. And that's a very high rate.
But at least he was attempting to pay it back. Now you have the students taking out these loans. They're going to college. And then all of a sudden the government steps up and says, oh, no, you don't have to pay it back. We'll put you, on this special program and you'll be exempt from that. And I think that's the wrong kind of message. If you want to be a grown-up and you take out a loan, you need to pay it back.
Well, you can suspend payments under certain circumstances. And I'm going to tell you a couple that I met with recently. They were in their mid-30s. They both had taken out student debt, and he said, we did everything wrong, but we did exactly what we were told to. He said, we were told by the counselors in college, don't worry about the debt, just get the degree. Don't worry about the debt, just get the degree. And he said, that's what we did. And this is what these kids are being told. You've got to have that piece of paper hanging on that wall. Don't worry about the money. So when they get out of college, they get married, and life happens. They both get a job. She gets pregnant with twins, and there was complications, so she was out of work for a while. Now they have twins, and the child care cost more than she can earn. So she had to take a lesser job where she could work from home. She still has to have somebody come in part-time to help with the children so she can at least do some of the work that she's doing from home. But they can't pay this back. Their loan payments were going to start in this August. I've been through their budget. They have no money. All of a sudden now they're going to have to come up with $1,600 a month. And they can't.
Angela,
they absolutely cannot.
And
this is going to be a huge default. Taxpayers, stand by, because these kids cannot pay this back.
Angela, I'm guessing that the story you just told is a story that a lot of people can relate to, probably a lot of people who are listening right now. And I'm saying that
that's the more recent one. I've seen it 100 times over.
Okay, well, the phone is lighting up, and since we don't have enough time to even take any calls, is there help out there for that person, whether it's the exact couple you're talking about or somebody who we don't know who's kind of relating to the story? Can they go someplace? Is there a government agency? What would you suggest?
Well, there was a government agency, and I do not want to call that out because I've sent 2 people to it, and it wound up being nothing at all. So the best thing is to sit down and examine all your resources. Don't hesitate to come to somebody like me, or find somebody in your area that can go through your finances and try to help you come up with a source. If you have enough home equity that you can do an equity line of credit, and I don't like to see anybody put their house in jeopardy. If you cannot afford to pay the equity line of credit, don't do it. Okay? Don't put your house in jeopardy. If you see that you cannot pay this debt, don't do that. I feel like the government's going to have to step in at some point, because there's already 20% of borrowers are behind on payments. Okay, I do want to say that 11% of those 20% had completed a bachelor's degree. 5% of those that are behind have finished a graduate degree, and that does not include those who went to for-profit colleges. Okay, it only includes those that went to state universities and
Wow.
that.
Wow.
So that's a low number. Okay,
So
that's a low number.
So you're in Sarasota, and even though you're in Florida, that's a little bit far for a lot of our listeners. What would you suggest? How do we get the ball rolling for somebody who says, "That's me, that's my son, that's my daughter. How can I get help?" Do you want to give out a website? Is there anything you can leave us with so that we can have a starting point at least?
I'll tell you what, let me give you my website. It's www.sloanfinancial.net. You can go to our website, leave a contact email, and that will go to one of my people in my office that will make sure that I get it. I do have some ideas, but I don't want to call it out nationally over the radio because I'm afraid it wouldn't be appropriate for everybody.
Gotcha. Yeah, okay.
For every ear listening today, there's going to be a different situation.
Okay.
And I hate to just give out a blanket something that's not going to be appropriate.
Angela, thank you for taking time to give us this message. We'll put this up as a podcast. That way it can be shared by others. The website that Angela gave us is sloanfinancial.net, SLOAN, sloanfinancial.net. Angela Sloan, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me, and I'm glad to be a resource. Call me anytime.
All right. Thank you so much. We'll take a little break. Be right back.
It's time to rethink what you know about clean American propane and what it can do for your operation.